Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Connect with Eleanor. I'm so glad to have you guys here. Sorry for not being able to upload last week's episode. I had some issues that I needed to deal with. I want to thank you guys so much for your support towards my channel. But if you have not liked, if you have not shared, if you have not subscribed, please kindly do so. Tell your family, your friends, your loved ones about Connect with Eleanor. Let them watch and let them learn. And I hope that in today's episode you'll be able to know more about fear. On today's episode, we're talking about facing the fear factor. I won't lie to you, many of us will go through that. Even I myself, fear is something that we go through daily. But there is a way we can cope with all these things and still move beyond our fears, which is why I'm bringing this topic on this week's episode. Fear alerts us of the presence of danger or a threat of harm. This reaction can come as a result of a passive threat or a real threat. What it means is that it might be a real threat or maybe a type of threat that your mind actually thinks that is a threat. It's just like when you hear a banging sound, obviously you'll be scared. It might not actually be a gunshot, but you would actually be scared because your mind actually perceived it to be a form of danger. So it is a response to any form of danger, whether physical danger or emotional danger. They say that fear is experienced in the mind. Yes, we accept it because everything that goes on about fear has to do with the mind, but it triggers a very strong physical reactions to the body. There is a way we get scared that we start sweating, we get startled, our heart rate starts increasing. So as much as fear is something that happens in the mind, once it happens in the mind, the body will obviously mirror it out and you actually see the physical manifestation of fear. So now I'm going to be telling us about the symptoms, the triggers, types of fears, and how we can actually overcome every single one of them. Although this type of fears might not be the one that but I believe that every single one of these types of fear is something that we all go through in our daily lives. So I hope you join me on this wonderful adventure. Now, a fear is mostly different from a phobia, you understand? When you just have common reactions to something and you just get scared, it's just a normal fear. But when it becomes something that affects your daily activities, you cannot function well, then it's turned into a phobia. That's mostly the difference between fear and phobia. So now we have symptoms of fear. Symptoms of fear are chest pain, chills, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, you're sweating, you have an upset stomach, you're going to the restroom 1 week after the other. There was a particular time like that. That was the first time I was asked to sing in choir, and I was sweating, my legs were shaking. So those are the symptoms of fear that people go through. Then what are the triggers? What are the things that trigger fear within us, within our mind? We have future events that have not yet happened, imagined events that are living in our mind. You understand? It has not yet happened, but we are imagining it. We are living in that world in our mind. Then environmental danger can also trigger fear if our environment is not safe enough. Then another thing is number 4, the unknown can also trigger fear, where we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't exactly know what will happen in the next few years. It can trigger a fear. Then specific objects or things. That's when we see people that have phobia of snakes, of heights, of this, of that, of enclosed space, and all like that. But there are different types of fears. What this episode of Connect with Eleanor is going to be dealing with, the different types of fears and how we can actually overcome them. So the first type of fear that we're talking about is the fear of failure. They mostly call it acticophobia. It's the fear of failure. I won't lie to you, many of us have that fear. I mean, most probably we are about to write an exam, we're about to prepare for an exam, and we've not yet written the exam and we are already scared that, oh my God, am I going to fail? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And the truth is, failure is part of life. It's just something that is part of life. I feel like failure is just something that gives you an indication that you need to change the method you're using. Whether we like it or not, many of us we go through that fear of failure. So because of that, we never even start anything we want to do. I remember when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I was having that fear that, what if I don't do well? What if I say something that is wrong? What if I use the wrong set of sentence? But yes, what if I do that? But I feel like life is a journey. So even if I make mistakes, it doesn't make me a failure. Even if I fail in terms of examinations and all this assessment, it doesn't make me a failure. It just means that I need to work on myself more. So many of us, we need to be able to separate our failures from ourselves. The fact that you failed today in doing a particular task or in fulfilling a particular dream does not make you a failure as a person. Because most people that have fear of failure, they see themselves as flaws. They feel like, because I failed this exam, I cannot amount to anything in life. Because I failed to boost this business, because my business is not working well, then I'm this, I'm that. You shouldn't do that. You should be able to separate it. The fact that you failed in one particular area of your life does not make you a failure. It means that you need to pay more attention to that part of your life and actually adjust it. There's another type of fear, which is fear of loss. That one mostly happens to people that are really, really scared of loss. And there is one thing that I've known is that loss is part of life. Loss is a path that we must all take. No matter how much we dread it, no matter how much we avoid it, loss is part of life. Many of us, we fear that we could lose what we already have. We fear that if we change, then we might lose people. If things happen, we might lose our family members. Maybe if circumstances happen. But there are many of us that we chose to ignore it or we chose to avoid it. But the truth is, loss is part of life. No matter how much you try to avoid it, it is just something that is inevitable. So I feel like we should all find a way to cope with it. That's just all we can do. Because there are people that they have lost their loved ones, and as much as it is so difficult to live life without these people, you have to find a way to move on. So now another type of fear that I want to talk about is fear of change. This one is very rampant among people. Decide to change your method. A lot of things is going to happen. A lot of your relationship is going to be shaking. There are some people that So I feel like change is part of life and growth, but you must actually consider it when you have that fear forward. You see your mates that are making waves in the world, that are changing lives, that are becoming signs and wonders, while you yourself, you're just here. You feel like you can just keep doing the same routine over and over again. It doesn't work that way. You have to overcome that fear of changing the environment. That change of changing your environment, of changing the way you do things, your approach, of changing the way you behave to people, for working on your boundaries. Whether you like it or not, change will affect every area of your life, no matter how much you want to do it. I always tell one of my friends, I always tell her that whether you make the right decision or you make the wrong decision, there is always a consequence, no matter how much you do it. But the beautiful part of it is that even if you make the right decision, you will still face the consequences. But at least you know that you are actually doing the right thing. You understand? That's just the bonus part of it all. You get what I'm trying to say? So change is part of life. You have to choose to step out of your comfort zone. You can't keep staying and doing the same thing over and over again. If you do not get up, nobody can get up. That's one thing I believe. Then another type of fear that I feel like people go through is fear of intimacy. I mean, if I mention the word intimacy, people will probably think that, okay, maybe hugging, kissing, and all these things. No. The truth is, true intimacy does not really have to do with anything that is physical. Yes, physical might be part of it, but that's not really the main point of intimacy. There are many married couples, many engaged couples, many people in a relationship that are not intimate with each other. Fear of intimacy refers to the fear of revealing our inner selves, our fears, our vulnerabilities, whether to our family, to our friends, or our loved ones. People that have that fear of intimacy, you can never really know them deeply. They do not share their inner feelings and their ideas because they feel like, if I share listen to this person might actually stay away from me. But one thing is, intimacy is actually essential for every single relationship, except for people that you know that, okay, this person is a stranger, then you don't need to open up to everybody. But there are some certain people in your life that level of intimacy is very important. There was a point in my life where I decided I was always going to be closed up. I didn't want to let anybody really know the kind of person I was, because I felt like, is that they judge me or they use it against me? And several times it has worked like that. But one thing I realized about life is that the fact that you opened up to one person and they actually used it against you doesn't mean other people will use it against you. It just means that you need to work more on yourself, which is why I'm going to be talking about access and the levels of access on my Spotify podcast on Wednesday by 4 p.m. I'm going to be talking about access and the levels of access, how you can give people access in your life depending on who they are and how they present themselves to be, so that you won't just be sharing your information anyhow. So that's just all about fear of intimacy. You don't want to share your feelings. But if you keep moving like that, you would not really have a true connection with anybody in your life. That is why it's important for you to have that level of intimacy with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or your husband or your wife. It is very, very important. Then another thing is that many of us, we have fear of being judged. Now, the truth is, I myself have faced this type of fear before. I try not to express my opinion to others because I feel like they might actually judge me. But one thing I realized is that if you keep living like that, then other people would not learn from you. You understand? Just like I open my channel now and I'm sharing my ideas, there might be some people that will have contrary ideas. There might be some people that will even have more ideas than me. But it doesn't mean that I won't share my opinion and I won't share my research and the things that I've learned over the years to help other people. You understand? So when you have fear of being judged, you hide yourself to avoid being embarrassed. You don't want people to feel like you're a foolish person, and because of that you have this unhealthy perfectionism. That's why you notice that people that are perfectionists, that are always waiting for the perfect moment, like me, even though I've actually worked on it, they have that fear of being judged because you want people to see them to be perfect at every single thing. You understand? But it doesn't work that way. Life is not supposed to be that way. One thing I've realized is that I am learning and I'm my flaws because I human. Okay, maybe we bring up a topic and someone tells me that, okay, their own opinion is right, then no problem. But I feel like from my own perspective, I also have something to share. So that's just how life is. There was something that happened the other day, and a particular friend was talking about something, she was being argumentative and all. But I told myself, I have my own opinion, I have my own experiences, so I have the right to share them. Whether you accept them or not, it doesn't make them not real. You understand? That's just the way life is. Many people feel like when you're looking at another person's perspective. But yes, even though you're looking at other people's perspective, you also experience that pain. You experience that discomfort. Express how you feel. That is the truth. So that's just the way life is. I always tell people, if you feel like somebody is not treating you well, you have that right. Don't ever feel less of yourself. Don't ever feel like they are going to judge me if I speak up. Yes, speak up. If they will judge you, they will judge you. But it doesn't mean that you have not expressed how you feel. Now, another fear that I feel like people experience is fear of success. This fear of success is in many ways. There are many of us that we live in that fantasy world. I mean, in a world where everything is perfect, you have the perfect career, you have this, you have that, but you're not actually taking the necessary steps to get to that future. The truth is, one thing about me that I'm going to share one thing about me that I feel like it's something that if I should share, I would actually be judged for it, but I will still share it anyway. So that's the first step to, overcoming the fear of being judged. The thing about me is that I've always tried to stay away from people that are dreamers. I mean, these people, they can talk all night long about all the things they want to achieve and they will not move. They will not do anything to work on themselves. I mean, there are many of my friends like that I just said that, I mean, we can't be friends again. You're basically a dreamer. You just keep telling us, okay, this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do, and we are not seeing a concrete plan. There are so many people that I decided to just cut out of my life because I felt like I did not need somebody that was a dreamer. I needed somebody that was an achiever around me to actually rub off on me. So that's why many of my friends, I tell them, if you say you want to do something, okay, what are your plans towards it? Living a life of mediocrity and you deciding that you don't want to take a step while living in a fantasy world is not making sense. You have to try as much as possible to grow and work towards your goals, not keep living in this dream and in this bubble that one day magically you're going to get all the things you want. Life doesn't work that way. So that's one thing that I have that I feel like I might be judged if I share. I don't like dreamers for anything. I don't like dreamers. I prefer people that are achievers, and that's just me. But in case you're a dreamer, please, no offense, I feel like you should just try and work on achieving your goals. That's just it. So then there's another fear, which is fear of the unknown. They call it xenophobia. You're not sure of where the future leads. You're not exactly sure what will happen. And that's just life. That's what makes us human. That's why God is greater than every single one of us. Because He knows the future, He knows the past, He knows the present. But we mostly know the past, but you don't have that grace to actually know what will happen in the future. But you can actually make sure that you work towards making your future a better one by the choices you make now. So I feel like fear of the unknown is what every single one of us go through. So we just have to find a way to work on that fear and not let it stop our growth. Now, another fear that I would like to talk about is fear of loneliness. I mean, this one has actually caused so many chaos, especially when it comes to relationship. I always tell my friends, don't enter a relationship because you are lonely. It is not enough valid reason for you to be in a relationship with somebody. It is not. Loneliness is part of life. Which day was I still talking to my mom and she was telling me that even if you have children and you're successful in your marriage and you're okay, you will still feel lonely. You will still feel lonely. Loneliness is just part of what life is. You understand? But you cannot say because of loneliness, you start getting involved with people that don't share your values. You start entering relationships that are not right for you. Even if you find out that and what everybody is saying that you need to endure it, then you decide to still physical abuse, mental abuse, and this fear of loneliness is just something that is the mindset. You understand? It's just a mindset. That's why it's always essential for you to pick up hobbies and try to fulfill your goals and have dreams and have things you're pursuing. You won't even have time to feel lonely. For someone like me, once I go through the entire day being hectic and all these things, I don't even have time for loneliness. Like, which place does the loneliness want to enter? The loneliness does not have any place to enter because it's filled with so many activities, so many things. If I'm bored, I watch movies. If I do this, so I feel like it's just a thing of the mind. You understand? But one thing I want you to know is that loneliness is part of life. You understand? We all feel lonely, but we all try as much as possible to occupy ourselves with things that make us happy. So that's why you can overcome that fear of loneliness. Please don't say because of loneliness you go and mix up with people that don't share your values. You enter that relationship. No, don't do that. You understand? So then another fear that I will talk about is fear of not being enough. That one is mostly something that happens since childhood. Many of us, we have that fear that we are not good enough, we are not perfect enough, we are not educated enough, we are not this, we are not that. While it is very good to achieve your dreams and your goals, it doesn't mean that you should have that fear that you are not good enough. One thing I will tell you is that regardless of where you are as at this point of your life, you are good enough. You are more than enough. The fear I'm going to be talking about is the fear of rejection. Fear of whether people will reject you, they will reject your idea. But I feel like for someone rejecting you, it just means that they are not meant to be in your life. There was somebody that said that. I think it was the motivational speaker that said so. So I feel like that is just the way life is. If someone should reject you and they should say, okay, part of your journey, so you just move on. That's just the way life is. So don't start buttressing on that. Because of that fear of rejection, you start doing things that you're not supposed to do. You overcome them. Yes, I have a few tips to give to us in overcoming our fear. The first thing is self-care. Yes, you need to eat healthy, you need to compassion on yourself. The truth is, you're human. It's normal for you to have all these fears. So don't let that disturb you or let that one affect you. Then another thing is that learn how to identify your emotions and react smarter. If you're in a position whereby you're facing a particular type of fear, maybe fear of the unknown, or you fear to face the crowd or all these things, find a way to react smarter about it. Find a way to work on all these things. That, like I said, it begins with you. And another thing is that your mind, the mind is a very important and essential part of fear, because fear begins in the mind. So you need to use your imagination in a positive way. You have to change your perspective about your fears and about life. Like now, if you have fear of the unknown, just take it as life is full of possibilities, endless possibilities for you to fulfill your dreams. Don't think about negative things. Think about positive things only. Use your mind to your advantage, because fear starts from the mind. And again, one thing I would say is that if you have any one of these fears that I mentioned, you have to face it and overcome it. Nobody can do that for you. I feel like for those of us that really want to be serious about facing our fears, we can actually have a fear journal where we write down our fears. Okay, probably you plan to open a business this year, but you have that fear, you write it down, and then you work on how you can overcome every single one of it. Why not try? Yes, people might judge you for it, they might laugh at you for it, but it is your life, and you only have one chance and one life to actually change your world. So I feel like you should take advantage of this opportunity and face every single one of your fears. One thing about life that makes it beautiful is that we are all in the same position. We all go through all these fears every single day. So I feel like you are not alone in this. So please kindly make sure you work on your fears. But the most important aspect, like I said, on how to overcome your fear is you working on your mind. Your mind is your greatest asset. If your mind is not stable, if your mind is not firm, then it's going to affect every single area of your life. But once you are determined within yourself that you want to overcome this fear of failure, you want to overcome this fear of loss, you want to overcome this fear of change, fear of intimacy, the fear of being judged, the fear of success, the fear of the unknown, the fear of loneliness, the fear of not being good enough, and the fear of rejection. Fear is part of life, but it is something that we can actually connect with Eleanor. I hope you were able to learn that you can actually face the fear factor. You can face it and you can overcome it. It starts with your mind. So please work on your mind, strengthen your mind, so that in every area of your life, in every aspect of your life that you feel like you're not good enough, that fear is creeping in, you can actually work on it. I love you guys so much. Thank you for your support towards your channel. I will see you next week. Bye.